Hey guys, this is Callum from EnglishShooting and welcome back to the channel. Now, I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably have seen the previous video about the decision from BASC to end its legal expenses insurance. If you haven't seen that video, please go and watch it first because it's going to give a lot more context. But in that video, I say that I was going to make a follow-up video, which is this one, going through all of the alternatives to BASC that still offer legal expenses insurance. But before we get into it, there are a few things that I want to touch on and clarify. The biggest is that Christopher Graffius, who is the Director of Communications and Public Affairs, got in contact with me after the first video. We had a 45-minute Zoom call. He contacted me to clarify a few points, put a few things straight, but also to open up a line of communication, which I've taken instant advantage of. I sent him an email a few days ago with a number of questions and concerns that not only I had myself, but those that I'd seen aired on Facebook and in the comment section of the previous video. That is going to be a separate video entirely, because it's otherwise going to make this one far too long. And I do want to make it absolutely clear that I don't hate BASC. I'm not out to get BASC. I don't want to see the demise of BASC. As a previous member, I felt very let down by the lack of communication I felt, and also the decision to remove something that I think is absolutely invaluable to FAC and SGC holders. So, on to alternatives to BASC. Now, again, something that I want to just say beforehand, only you can really decide what the best organisation is to go for, or whether or not you want to go for just a private insurance company and not have any association with any organisation or association. So only really you can see what organisations have your best interest at heart. So there's a lot of things to consider, but obviously this is all about the legal expenses cover. Now, the first one that I can recommend is the NRA, because a lot of you will probably already be NRA members. If you are, then great. You don't need to look any further, because they have up to £50,000 worth of legal cover. So not only do you get access to Bisley and other ranges up and down the country, not only can you rent guns as a full NRA member, but you have that legal expenses cover if you need it. If the NRA is the right organisation for you, only you can decide. I'm sure many long-term viewers and subscribers of this channel will know my various thoughts on the NRA. The second one that I found that does seem to be one of the most popular is a company called Gunplan. Now, they're not an association or an organisation. They are purely a business there to sell you insurance specifically to shooters. Now, they offer £100,000 worth of legal expenses cover, and it seemed to be about £30–40 a year. It is the legal expenses cover is an additional add-on to their base package insurance, which is public liability, but I think it only brings it up to about £40 a year, which is not bad at all. The next sort of large private company is Bluefin Sport. I've heard this name thrown about quite a bit. Now, from what it looks like, Bluefin Sport doesn't actually offer individual insurance policies. They're only interested in organisations and clubs. However, if you go onto the NSRA website, as part of their membership, you get legal cover, legal expenses cover, and it is offered through Bluefin Sport. So whilst on the phone, Bluefin Sport said they don't deal with individual memberships, obviously the NSRA have some sort of agreement or deal with them where their individual members will get their own individual insurance policies. And furthermore, Kentucky Firearms Club, which is my home office approved club, is also in talks with Bluefin Sport. It's not 100% yet, but they very well may be getting a Bluefin Sport policy, which they have said will give individual members their own cover. So a little bit confusing, but if you like the look of Bluefin Sport, then it's highly recommended to go through, say, the NSRA, which is the National Small Bore Rifle Association, or join Kentucky Firearms Club, which I can highly recommend doing that. Now, the other sort of, it looks sort of like a cross between an organisation but also a private insurance company, is the Country Cover Club, or C Cubed if you've seen their logo. Now, they offer up to £100,000 worth of legal expense insurance or expenses insurance, but the cherry on top for me for their policy is that you also get access to a 24-hour-a-day revocation hotline. Now, speaking from personal experience and also having heard of the experiences of many other people that have gone through legal difficulties, either through revocation or refusal, everyone thinks it's not going to happen to them. Everyone thinks, I'm never going to do anything that's going to lose me my tickets or, you know, get me a refusal, but you just don't know. Everyone says I'm the safest driver in the world until you plough into a brick wall. So when it does happen, it will hit you like a brick wall. It will absolutely knock you for six. You can probably sit here right now and think, well, this is what I would do in that situation. This is what I know is the process. All of that goes out the window when you're handed that revocation letter. So having a 24-hour revocation hotline to be able to phone up and be like, well, help. What do I do? What can I do? What can't I do? What should I say? What shouldn't I say? And what are they allowed to do? What is the usual process? Is there anything weird going on here? Now, you know, in that situation, you're not going to want to start reaching out on social media or start calling people up, because it can be quite an embarrassing thing. You probably want to keep it private. Having an impartial sort of private 24-hour revocation hotline, I think, is really, really valuable. So certainly the Country Cover Club, I would recommend looking into. And of course, a organisation that I mentioned in the previous video, the CPSA. Now, again, to caveat, the CPSA's legal expenses insurance only covers you for issues with shotgun certificates. However, most people that have a firearm certificate will also have a shotgun certificate. So if you're going to lose one, you're certainly going to lose the other. If you're refused on one, you're certainly going to be refused on the other. So it is going to sort of bundle it all together, and you should still be able to make use of the legal expenses insurance. Of course, if you don't have a shotgun certificate, then the CPSA probably isn't any use to you. The reason that I recommend the CPSA so much, as I touched on in the previous video, is that they have access to both Laura Salisbury and Nick Doherty, a specialist solicitor, firearms solicitor, and a specialist firearms barrister. And to my knowledge, they are the foremost sort of solicitor and barrister within the firearms law field. Certainly the two people I would want on my side if there are any future legal difficulties for myself. So that's certainly something to bear in mind. Now, for sort of completion, I want to talk about some of the organisations that have been repeatedly recommended online but don't actually have any legal expenses insurance. The first one, and probably the largest next to BASC, is the Countryside Alliance. They offer public liability insurance, but they don't offer any form of legal expenses cover. And just to clarify again, because this was one of the points that Christopher didn't feel that I stressed enough, even though quite early on in the previous video I do go into it, there is a distinct difference between public liability insurance and legal expenses insurance. Public liability insurance covers you for accidents against yourself, accidents against somebody else, livestock, property damage, things like that. Within a public liability policy, there is usually legal defence or expense cover as well, but this is really only in the situation where somebody takes you to court or sues you for damages. So it covers you for that, but it will not have any bearing on revocations or refusals, and that's why you specifically need legal expenses insurance for those situations. So the Countryside Alliance doesn't offer that. The National Gamekeepers Association, which is or organisation even, the NGO, offers no legal expenses cover as well. And SACS, which is one that seems to pop up time and time again. Now, I couldn't categorically find the answer about legal expenses insurance, but I'm fairly certain they do not offer it. There is nothing mentioned on their website. I did try to phone them kept ringing through. They tried to call me back, I missed that. I tried to call them back and I just wasn't able to get through to them. But I've spoken to a couple of members and they're pretty certain that it doesn't cover legal expenses insurance as well. And interestingly, there's a statement on their website that says any allegation of criminal conduct may invalidate any claim. So in the instance of, say, a disgruntled ex-partner or current partner or family member, neighbour, or just randomer in the street, if anybody makes a criminal allegation against you, that could invalidate your claim. So even if they do offer legal expenses insurance, I feel that that would be quite weak if it's going to be invalidated over any sort of criminal allegation. The last one that has been recommended to me is the British Deer Society, but looking through their policy details, looking through their website, again, I cannot find any mention of legal expenses insurance under the British Deer Society, only public liability. And again, I would like to stress, it is still imperative that you have public liability insurance. Most landowners will not let you shoot on their land if you don't produce them some public liability. It's again, can get you out of some really sticky situations. Personally, I think it's as valuable as the legal expenses insurance. Obviously, BASC don't. But there we go, really. I'm sure there are other companies and other organisations that will offer public liability and legal expenses insurance. For me, this is the highlight, the ones that I was able to sort of find, and ones that I'd heard many good things about. So that does give you a good cross-section of different organisations and companies to go and look at. Again, only really you can decide which company is going to be best for you. Just make sure you read all of the fine print and all of the terms and conditions, and in terms of any association or organisation, be sure that they are representing you in the shooting that you're doing, or as the shooter that you are. If you're going to be giving an organisation money which isn't just for the insurance, you want that money being used to benefit you as a shooter, and supporting an organisation that has your own interest at the forefront of that organisation. And again, I'm not calling for anybody to cancel their BASC membership, only you can decide that. For me, I just think as a predominant sports shooter, they don't have my interests at the forefront of their organisation, and removing legal expenses insurance was sort of the last straw for me. But there we go, guys. I really hope that you found this useful and informative. If you have any further questions or need any further help, please put a comment in the comment section below, or you can drop me an email to EnglishShooting@gmail.com. If you have found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. Please give it a share as well, so that other people can be made aware of the alternatives available to shooters here within the UK. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button for future videos, and to keep an eye out for the follow-up of the follow-up in regards to the conversations that I've had with Christopher Graffius. But thanks again for watching, and as always, guys, I hope to see you soon.